Welcome back to Afternoon Express. Judy Cawood is the Community Rehabilitation Coordinator at the Helderberg Stroke Support Group. Now, she has been passionate about recovery process for stroke victims for a substantial portion of her life.
So we are also joined now by Mr. Skhosana, who has been a committee member at the HSSG for over 3 years. They join us now in studio to chat about the importance of stroke awareness. Welcome to the show. Thank you so very much for being here. So, Judy, if you could perhaps tell us, what does it mean to have a stroke?
A stroke is when the blood supply to the brain is cut off, and obviously the brain needs oxygen and food to survive.
Yeah.
I think we're all aware of the symptoms of stroke. It can have a devastating effect on a person's life, causing paralysis and other problems. And I think through the Helderberg Stroke Support Group, something we're very aware of is it's not only the person who has the stroke that's affected, but also the family as well.
Yeah. And what kind of ethics do you look at as a support group coming together? Is it specifically with the patient, their family and rehabilitation?
We've got, I think just very quickly, we've been going for 26 years, and it's not just about Skhosana and I. We've got an amazing team of therapists, committees in our communities, wonderful volunteers and assistants who've received training, who help us. Some of them are stroke survivors themselves, and I think we've got 4 main focuses. The one is, obviously, you gave the statistics about stroke at the beginning of the show. We want to stop strokes in South Africa. So we do.
Is that doable?
Well, I think if the public's more aware of your risk factors for stroke, which in a nutshell are your medical risk factors: high blood pressure, people with diabetes are at risk, people with high cholesterol, and family history of heart disease. And then your lifestyle factors, which is smoking, how you eat, doing sufficient exercise, people who are overweight at risk. And there's a lot of things people can do about that. It's not easy. So we do a lot of talks about risk factors. We've started an exciting project at one of the schools, making the grade 7s aware of your risk factors for stroke. And then a big focus is on rehabilitation. We've got 7 community groups in the Helderberg, and we do a program with exercises and also activities to work on other impairments for stroke. And then training of people in the community to assist stroke survivors, and then advocacy of problems that we pick up on, of helping with those.
Mr. Skhosana, you had a stroke. Tell us about that day. What happened, what it felt like?
Ndingathetha isiXhosa. Ndicinga into yobana into eyenzekayo kum ndaziva nje mna ndidizi, like iweather nje iclear yatshintsha, yangathi kuzawunetha kanje. Ndabe ndidrayiva apha ndawufika endlini. Xa ndifika endlini ndabe senditshintshile nothetha, ndingasakwazi uthetha kakuhle and sendibilile. Inkosikazi yami ibuzile uba kwenzeka ntoni kuwe, uselile? Ndithi no, azandazi uyazi andiseli. Ndagqibela ngelo xesha uthetha, zandiphinde ndithethe.
Mr. Skhosana, just to summarize what you've experienced that day, he was driving and his vision became blurred all of a sudden, as if it was about to start raining. But it was a clear day and that wasn't the case. When he got home, his speech had already deteriorated, so much so that Mr. Skhosana's wife even asked, "Have you been drinking? Like, what's going on with this slurred speech?" And that was the end of the speech. It then deteriorated rapidly thereafter.
Wow. What is the rehabilitation part like for somebody who's had a stroke?
Okay, well, I think most people would start in hospital with some probably physiotherapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy if they need that. I think the big difficulty, especially people who aren't on medical aid, might spend very short time in hospital. There's some really good government health services, but it's very limited in terms of rehabilitation. So I can speak mainly about the Western Cape and our area where people would be admitted to hospital. If they were lucky lucky enough, they could get into Western Cape Rehab Centre at Mitchell's Plain, a wonderful facility, but they have very strict criteria of who can go there. People would then be referred to their local clinics or CHCs. Transport's a huge issue for people getting to rehabilitation.
Like, is there a window period if somebody's having a stroke? Like, if you feel like you're having a stroke, what is the first thing you can do? Like, can you drive yourself to a hospital, or like, what should people do if they feel like they might be having a stroke?
Right. I think very quickly they've brought out a new, it's FAST, F-A-S-T, you know.
Yes.
And an easy way for a lay person to recognise a stroke is F stands for face. So if an individual or family member or ever suddenly notices drooping on one side of the face, one can sort of start thinking maybe somebody's having a stroke. Obviously, with a stroke, one side of the body is paralysed or weak, so the A is for arms. So you can ask the person to lift up their arms, and if the one side's weak or nothing's happening there, you can really start thinking maybe the person's having a stroke. And S is for speech. Speech can be affected. So either the person starts talking slurred, like Skhosana mentioned, or what we call aphasia, where they know what they want to say, but the words won't come out. And then the T is for time. And I think the big thing these days is we want people to get to hospital, especially if there's a special stroke unit, because we talk about time is brain. So the sooner a person can get assistance and get to hospital,
damage to the brain,
the better.
Wow, thank you very much for all of this very helpful information. We will have it all on our social media pages as well, should you need it. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you very much.